Okay, welcome everyone to the Flatiron School info session. I just want to let everyone know we do record these presentations. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to just start off by going through some high-level facts, starting with a little bit about myself. My name is Michael Crashes. I'm a senior admissions lead here at Flatiron School. So if you apply to the school, chances are I might be someone that you'll get to meet and speak to. I've been at Flatiron School for 6 years. I'm based in the New York City area. A little bit about me. I'm also a drummer. I'm a huge baseball fan and the Yankee fan specifically. And I live with my wife and daughter. And an interesting fact, I just recently learned that if you have more than 2 cats, it's called a clouder. So I have several rescue cats that we live with. So I live with my family and a clouder of cats. Go Yankees, yeah, indeed. So they're off to a pretty good start. We'll see how they do. So let's move forward with our agenda a little bit. We are going to go through some high-level facts about Flatiron School itself. Then we're going to dive into our programs, specifically software engineering, data science, cybersecurity engineering, and product design. We'll discuss the admissions process in general. We'll talk about career services and our jobs report. Then we'll do some Q&A at the end and discuss some next steps. As I do go through the presentation, if you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I'll do my best to answer them in real time. If I miss them, we'll get to them at the end, but I promise I'll do my best to get to them all. All right, so having said that, let's move it forward. Starting with the company mission statement. Here at Flatiron School, our mission is to enable pursuit of a better life through education. Little history. The school was founded in 2012, so we are coming up on our 10-year anniversary. And yes, we are planning some celebrations. There'll be some events going on. We're going to have a party at the campus. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. So the school was founded in 2012 by Adam Enbar and Avi Flombbaum. Flatiron School is an alternate education model that provides students with 21st century skills necessary to succeed in tech. Programs, as I mentioned earlier, we offer career-changing courses in software engineering, data science, cybersecurity, and product design. We have both on-campus and online learning. We do both full-time and part-time. I'll get into that a little bit in more detail in a little bit. We do operate campuses here in New York City and in Denver. And we have a sister school called SecureSet that focuses on cybersecurity exclusively. They operate in Denver as well as in Colorado Springs. Graduates, our proven job search framework has helped thousands of Flatiron School grads land fulfilling jobs in tech. Our whole focus is helping our students get the education and training and at the end start their careers. So our graduates are employed at many well-known companies that we feature here. As you know, software engineers, UX designers, data scientists, cybersecurity engineers are present in every facet of culture and industry and business, everything from small startups to Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, you name it. So these are just some of the companies with which our students are now working. So discussing our programs, as I mentioned a moment ago, all of our programs, you have the option of doing a full-time option or a part-time option. I think this is a very important decision to make. So to dive into this a little more deeply, full-time learning means you are doing a full-time fixed schedule program where you are basically studying with us Monday to Friday. It's 15 weeks long, and it's a full-time intensive accelerated boot camp program where students are more or less studying. It could be 9 to 6, it could be 8 to 5, some days it might even be 10 to 7, but it's basically 45 hours per week for 15 weeks. It's really best for students that want to lean into live lectures with a structured schedule and learning in a community with other students. A caution about the full-time program, it's hard to juggle it with any other responsibility. So if you're thinking about working part-time, if you are taking other classes, if you have commitments that really require a bit of your time, it's hard to juggle the full-time program with any outside commitments. Most students that are doing this are kind of dropping everything and making this their focus for the 15 weeks. If that's not convenient for you, we have our part-time program that works much more flexibly. So you can learn on your own schedule over 40 weeks. This one is really designed for students that are working, have families, are taking classes elsewhere, all of the above, who knows. It allows you to set your own schedule and work independently. You do have one-on-ones with teachers, you do have study groups, there is plenty of support. But one of the things that makes it so flexible is that the lectures, you get to them in a library and you can watch lectures anytime, 1 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning. Really, you're not tethered to our schedule. So plenty of flexibility with plenty of support built in as well. Most students will finish in about 40 weeks, which requires that they put in about 20 to 25 hours per week into this program. So if you need to work, if you have a family, like I said, any of those outside commitments, this is a great way to achieve the same results. Either way, the curriculum is the same, the projects are the same, the outcomes are the same. It's just the rhythm of your studies that is different. So diving into our programs, I'm going to go through them one by one. We'll start with software engineering. So as I'm sure you all know, software engineering is the design, development, maintenance, testing, and evaluation of websites and computer software. In essence, you're learning to code. So you're learning to build websites and web-based apps. Our software engineer grads land jobs as software engineers, software developers, web developers. There's many different names for essentially what is the same role. What you'll learn in our software engineering program, we have a heavy focus on JavaScript, as you might expect. We cover HTML and CSS. We do Ruby on Rails. We cover SQL. We are learning React, Rack, Sinatra, and so on. Students, as they progress through the program, are working with instructors to come up with solo project concepts and spend dedicated time building sophisticated applications on their own. So you are essentially building a portfolio as you travel through the program. You are building projects that increase in complexity as your skills develop. And those projects essentially become a portfolio for you that you can take ownership of. So as it says here, this is an example. One of our students named Adam Sumro built a final project, a capstone project, which is a fully responsive personal finance app for two that was built as a capstone project during phase 5 of our software engineering course. So he designed the software program for, as you can guess from the name, honeymoon, for couples to manage their finances together when they're in the honeymoon phase or otherwise. Data science is the next program I'll address. So data science is using scientific methods, processes, algorithms, and systems to extract knowledge and insights from structured and unstructured data. So in other words, analyzing data to solve problems and inform business decisions. Our data science grads typically land jobs as data scientists and data analysts. All right, so what you'll learn in the data science program, it is a heavy dose of Python programming. You are also learning data acquisition, data cleaning and manipulation, and data visualizations. It is fairly math heavy, so you're also dealing in statistics as well as dealing with machine learning and other advanced concepts like deep learning, AI, and so on. So this gives you a broad overview of the program and the subjects covered. In the data science program at the end, you also will build a capstone project. This is an example from one of our students who built a project called the Bechdel Test in Women in Film. So this project was focused on examining how women are represented in film and presented data-driven insights for end users with a dashboard that allows users to explore the data that interests them the most. Getting into cybersecurity, the next program. Cybersecurity is the protection of computer systems from the theft of or damage to their hardware, software, or electronic data. So you are protecting systems from cyber attacks so people can operate safely. As you can imagine, this is a topic that is becoming more and more prevalent and top of mind for many people as we're all hearing news of data breaches and hacking that is going on worldwide. So our cybersecurity engineering grads land jobs as security engineers, security analysts, and security consultants. What you learn in the cybersecurity engineering program, you're dealing with network security, system security, threat intelligence. You're learning a good dose of Python. So there is some coding, applied cryptography. You're also learning some legal issues. So you're learning about governance, risk management, and compliance. You're learning to work with logs and detection and application security and penetration testing. Again, in this program, as in all our programs, you do build a capstone project where you are really building something that it will truly show the depth of knowledge that you've gained over the program, and everyone builds their own individual projects. You're also doing a professional level oral and written report that can be used in your portfolio as well. So you're learning to do presentations. Lots of hands-on labs. And again, students coming from this program are working as cybersecurity engineers, analysts, consultants, network engineers, and penetration testers as well. Examples of final projects here, a security operations center that allows a company to troubleshoot for any threats or intrusions and monitor networks and systems and assets in real time. Moving along to product design. Product design is the process of identifying a market opportunity, clearly defining what the problem is, and developing a proper solution for that problem, and validating the solution with real users, with end user groups. So you are using design, research, and data to solve problems for a user's experience. UX and UI design. You are learning to design websites and applications, everything from their functionality and their navigatability, how they flow, to their aesthetics, their color theory, their branding, their typography. So our product design students are prepared for roles working as product designers, UX researchers, and interaction designers, amongst other titles. So what you learn in the product design program, you'll be covering the UX process, which is you're learning to produce UX deliverables, user experience, propose solutions, use interaction patterns to create new designs, iterate on those design deliverables, present design recommendations, and analyze the competitive landscape to identify opportunities and prioritize goals. UI, you are producing UI deliverables. So you're proposing against solutions, creating mock-ups that align with existing design pattern libraries, curate an icon library using typographic principles, creating designs to conform device and OS specific guidelines, and learning to employ grid systems to organize content. You are building numerous projects in the program, so you are doing project briefs and delivering research-informed solutions using the design process. You're learning how to talk about your design choices and make presentations, and how to communicate users' needs to other stakeholders. In the end, you do a portfolio where you are authoring a case study that explains the insights and decisions you made during the design process. So it's very heavy on the portfolio building again. Here's an example of one of our students' final projects. They built a product called Heirloom, where they built a product, I should say, for a company called Heirloom. So Heirloom is a company that installs aeroponic and hydroponic technologies for indoor or outdoor use, very topical on today's date, being 4/20. It automates many of the most tedious tasks involved with growing your own food. Students design the screens for controlling and setting up the sensors and components within the system. So this is just a small sample of what was a much larger project for them. All right, so moving along the Flatiron team, the people that you will be most commonly interacting with in your journey with Flatiron School We'll be starting with admissions, which is myself and the many colleagues on my team who help you through the application, admissions, and the entire process of getting admitted and enrolling in the school. From there, you will be dealing, once you start your studies, with a lead instructor. Every program, whether it's in person or online, remote or otherwise, has a lead instructor that is the mentor and the leader for that cohort. We also have technical coaches that are available online as students are studying, available from 9 a.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time to answer students' questions in real time. So when students are working on the program, whether they're doing full-time or part-time, we have coaches that are available to give technical assistance and give help in real time. Once you complete the program and you graduate, you then work with a career coach who becomes your partner in helping you land your first role and start working in the industry. So starting with admissions, the admissions process, the first step, as you can imagine, is to submit a written application. The application is found on our website. It's on most every webpage, front and center, right at the top. The application is a chance for you to share your passion and share with us why you want to study with us and why you are passionate about whatever it is you wish to pursue, whether that be data science, software engineering, or what have you. It's a chance to tell your story. Once we receive your application, generally we invite you to do an admissions interview, which we do on Zoom. It's about 20 minutes. It's non-technical. It's really a chance to get to know you a little bit better. It gives you a chance to get to know us as well. Once we do the admissions interview, we generally invite you to do an admissions assessment, which is a 15-minute critical thinking and problem-solving assessment. Once that's complete, we let you know the admissions decision. If admitted, we ask students to register for the program by paying a $500 tuition deposit. That's what registers you and gets the ball rolling. And once you do that, we assign you something called pre-work. All of our programs require that you do some foundational studying before the program begins. There's also some paperwork to sign. It's paperwork, it's all digital, signing an enrollment agreement and some other disclosures and finalizing your financing before you begin on day one. So we'll go through that a little more granularly. So the first step is to submit a written application. As I mentioned, it's, like I said, a chance for you to share your story and tell us why you want to study with us. Tell us why the program you are choosing to pursue is the right choice for you. When should you apply? Your application is just the first step. So generally speaking, on a high level, you should apply when you know you're ready for a career change. I think it's also very important that you know which program you want to study in. All of these subjects fall under the umbrella of tech, but they're very different. A data scientist's day-to-day work is very different than, say, a product designer's or a cybersecurity analyst. So you really want to know which one is the right choice for you. You want to also know which schedule will work best for you. What you don't have to know is you don't have to know a great deal about how to code or hack or design to apply for the program, but you do want to have a good understanding of what those things are. I think it is a good idea to not become an expert, but to spend a little time working on some fundamentals. I think that's an important part of the step. Someone asked, Nelson asked in the box, what if I want to start a career rather than change one? That's absolutely fine. It's the same idea. Really, it's that you're ready to begin a career, whether it's a brand new career or a career change. It's just that that you're ready to pursue this and really make it your future. And I'm sorry, I just realized someone asked earlier, are the full-time courses conducted live? And yes, the full-time courses are 100% live. Absolutely. Good. So moving it along about when you should apply. One of the things I will mention as well, just to go back to this, is you should apply as far in advance as possible. Generally, we close admissions to our programs 1 month before they begin. So in other words, if you want to study with us in a program beginning, I'm going to say June 6th, we will generally close admissions to that program 4 weeks out. So you don't want to wait till May 21st to apply to a program that begins June 6th, because By then, it will be closed in full. So I think applying 8 weeks in advance is ideal. We still have students applying 5 weeks out, and we can make that work. But of course, the more advance notice you give us and yourself as well, I think the better off you will be. Great. So the admissions interview, as I mentioned a moment ago, it's really a chance to get to know you a little bit better. We send you an invite to meet with us on Zoom, and it's about 20 minutes. It's a chance for us to get to know you, ask you a few questions, and for you to ask questions as well, just really making sure that the program is synchronous with your goals, that you know how everything works, and how to move through the program successfully. Once we do that admissions interview, we invite you to do the admissions assessment. The admissions assessment, it is a critical thinking test. So we don't ask students to do a coding test per se, or a math test, or a hacking test. It's a program that kind of takes a higher level overview of looking at your critical thinking skills. It looks a little bit at vocabulary, a little bit at problem solving, pattern recognition, some basic skills. This gives you an example. Some of the types of questions that are asked about it is using your critical thinking skills as it pertains to vocabulary and language understanding. There are some sample math questions, and there's also some, as I said, pattern recognition and spatial reasoning type questions. Once you complete that assessment, we get the results usually within a day or so of you completing it, and we'll usually let you know the admissions decision within 1 to 3 days of receiving that back from you. Assuming everything goes well and you are admitted to the program, we do assign you pre-work. Pre-work is really designed to level everyone up to the same place. So when the program begins, we don't have to worry about there being wide variabilities in experience with the subject matter at hand. So it covers foundational concepts with coding if you're doing software engineering. For data science, it's covering some Python and math skills, and so on. The pre-work takes approximately 40 hours for students in our data science and cybersecurity program. Takes approximately 30 hours for product design, and approximately 60 hours for software engineering. We do offer lots of support. Once students have registered with the program, we give them access to the pre-work, and they join a very robust Slack channel where our students are collaborating and helping one another. We do have teachers available to answer questions and lend assistance in the pre-work. And we do a weekly webinar for students to help them to be successful in the pre-work. So support starts right away with the pre-work before the proper program even commences. So getting into some of the tuition and financing concepts, once you register for the program by paying that deposit of $500, you are then left with the tuition remainder. The total cost for the program is $16,900. That deposit is a small piece of the tuition that you pay at the beginning to register, and then you're left with a remainder of $16,400. We basically have 3 ways you can go about managing the tuition remainder. The first one is we do have students that just want to pay for it up front, and that is acceptable, absolutely. The second option is we do installment payments. We allow students to pay for their tuition in 12 equal monthly installments. There is no interest or fees. We're not financing you or giving you a loan. We're just allowing you to pay it in 12 monthly payments. It works out to be about $1,360 per month over 12 months. For students who do want to break it down even further, we then do have our loan partners. They're called Ascent and Climb. They have similar names and they do similar things. They will finance your tuition and allow you to pay them back over 3 to 4 years. So they break it down to smaller and much more manageable payments of a few $100s a month. They've helped many of our students achieve their goals. They're very flexible and easy to work with. So for students that need that resource of paying it over a longer period of time, Ascent and Climb are wonderful for that. We also do have scholarships in diversity initiatives. it gives a link on there for our website. They are found commonly on our website. Any student that's applying to study with us, once they're admitted to the program, is welcome to apply for a scholarship as well. Scholarships generally will take a little bit off the top and make it more manageable, and we're happy to consider any applicant for a scholarship. So we always encourage students to apply. So once you complete the program, we have the job search, which is an important part of what we do. I think we're very well known for helping our graduates land their first role and start working in the industry upon graduation. So finding a job is hard work. We never claim that like jobs fall in your lap because everyone loves Flatiron School. It's not quite that simple. It's hard work, but we have actually built a curriculum, a framework around what a successful job search looks like. Every student in the program gets assigned a dedicated career coach who you work with in your job search. And they work with you on everything from resume writing and LinkedIn presence to doing mock personal interviews where you want to be able to tell your history professionally and educationally with confidence, how to build your own job search line, how to navigate specific interactions with employers, and so on. So having that dedicated career coach who becomes your partner that you work with regularly is an important part of the success. We also have an employer partnership team that are sort of like the back end. You won't meet them, but their whole focus is to reach out to companies to try to make Flatiron School their pipeline. So when they need junior developers or designers or engineers or what have you, they come to Flatiron School to hire them. So that is really our whole North Star. The day you celebrate, the day you graduate, that is the day we celebrate. It's wonderful, but we're not really done. We're truly celebrating any student until they get job offers. So regarding how that works, we do have a third-party audited jobs report that we publish on our website. I encourage everyone to look at it. It's very detailed and very granular. 86% of our students are landing roles within 6 months of graduation with an average US starting salary of $74,962. And again, I encourage you to visit the jobs report as it is very detailed. Great, so that is the overview of my presentation. I'm really happy to answer any questions that you'd like to present to me. I think there are a couple in the box that I'm going to look at now. Feel free to add more, and I'll do my best to answer them all. Is the foundational work for each program listed on the Flatiron website? That's a great question. It is actually not. The foundational work, the pre-work, is something that we release to students once they actually register for the program. So it's not available on our website. We do have some free introductory courses on our website for each of the subjects that we study. So for example, or that we teach. So for example, software engineering, we do have a little like intro to HTML, intro to JavaScript, intro to Ruby course. Those are almost like, I always think about them as being little hors d'oeuvre platters. They're not super in depth. They're not a part of the curriculum. They're just for students that want to, investigate code for the first time or investigate cyber or data science or what have you. They are not super in depth. The pre-work is much more in depth. It's almost like a piece of the curriculum that we give to you before the program starts. It's almost like a primer. So that is something we only release to students once they register. I hope that answers your question, Felicia. So next question was, are the fundamentals for each program listed on the Flatiron website? Yes, they are. If you take the time to visit each webpage for each program, there is a syllabus that is very detailed that you can download. And it also gives sort of an overview and a breakdown of the program. They're split into modules, what's covered in each module, and so on. It's pretty detailed on the website. And then just a word here, if anything is unclear, if you ever have any questions regarding the fundamentals, tuition, anything, you can email admissions@flatironschool.com. And the admissions team will always respond to you with any questions you might have. And I'll also add that on many of the website pages, there's always a button where you can book a phone call with us, and we'll call you and answer your questions on the phone. So I believe that the fundamentals are listed there. And Felicia, if you have any trouble finding them, reach out to us and we can fill you in for sure. Ryan asked, what percentage of graduates land a job within their first year after finishing? 86% was the number that I gave. That was what that was for. So that is the answer to that question. Let's see, looks like we've had more come in. Let's see, let me, bear with me for a minute while I say. Go Yankees. Can I mix between campus and online? That is tough to do simply because when we build in-person campus classes, we need the students to commit to coming to classes most every day on campus. Otherwise, it is too chaotic. We can't run in-person classes where one day we have 6 and the next day we have 17. So we do ask if students want to do classes on campus with us, that they commit to joining us Monday to Friday for the 15 weeks. If they choose to do it remotely, they can do it that way. A word about that though, if you do it remotely, you are welcome to come to campus to use it as a workspace, but you would not be joining the classes that are occurring there on campus. So in other words, if I'm doing the classes remotely on a Friday, I'm near campus and I want to go and join my classes remotely on a computer, but do it from a campus location, you can, much like you might go to a WeWork to do some work if you're a WeWork member. All right, let's see what other questions. How many students are part of any given cohort? How many accepted per program start date? So for the live classes, the cohorts are based around a maximum of 25 students in a cohort, whether that be in person or doing it remotely. For the part-time program, they can be a little bit bigger. They can be up to 60 students in a cohort doing that more flexibly based remote part-time program. So someone asked, when I say live classes, do I mean in person? So again, with the live classes, you can do it in person if you happen to be in New York City or in Denver. You can also do them remotely via Zoom. So we have live classes that you can do in our classroom, or if you're not near one of our campuses or you are in New York City but don't want to go to campus, you can do the classes live via Zoom. So they are separate though. So if you do our in-person class on campus, that is one cohort. If you're doing it live remotely, it is a different group of students. So they're separate entities. Someone asked about the admission assessment. How much of that is based on the decision-making in being accepted into the program, the admissions assessment? So your acceptance into the program, it's based on a few factors. Number one, the quality of the application you write. Number two, on the admissions interview that we do, and also in part on that assessment. So we look at those compendium of factors together. So do any of our partners still offer $7,000 support while in school? I think what you mean there is our lending partners, do they offer cost of living expenses? I'm going to assume, Eric, that's what you mean. And yes, they do. They will lend over and above the tuition amount for students studying full-time specifically. They will allow an overage to include cost of living lending as well. And you can visit the Ascent or Climb web pages, which are available from our website. You'll see them. And they get into specifics there. But for students that are studying full-time for 15 weeks and they're not working, if they need a little financial help to pay bills and whatnot, that is a definite possibility. Someone asked, are there live classes for the part-time program? There are what we call live study groups several days a week. So you do have the ability to attend a live study group with a teacher. We try to make them flexible and they're not 100% required, but a lot of students will attend them and find them to be very helpful. You do also schedule one-on-ones with teachers, as I mentioned, and we do have teachers and coaches available from 9 a.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time to also answer questions in real time. Okay, I'm glad, Felicia, I answered your question. Wonderful. Do you offer free courses in C#, AWS, Java? No, we do not, because those are not languages that we are currently covering in our program. For the part-time program, how often are you interacting with the lead instructor. They are leading study groups. It's at least 3 days a week, and you have the ability to schedule one-on-ones with them. So you have the capacity to be seeing them at least 4 times a week, as well as the coaches who are available, as I mentioned, from 9 a.m. to midnight. What time of day are the online live classes? The online live classes are generally 9 to 6. And we do kind of split the country in half. We have a East cohort and a Western cohort, so that we are not trying to have students in California trying to make a class that's at 6 a.m. for them. If doing the live online classes, what does missing 1 or 2 days during the full course look like due to sickness or a single day prior commitment? We can work with students. We realize life happens, right? People have dental emergencies. They have a wedding they have to go to. Missing more than 3 days can get tough. Missing more than 2 days in a row can be very tough. But having said that, we try to be reasonable, but just be aware of, like, you have a vacation to Tahiti booked in July and you're planning on studying full-time during that time, that will definitely not work. But having said that, a day or two here or there, we can work with you on that. And my general word of advice is always let the teachers know in advance. If something is planned, they'll treat that a lot differently than like, oh, Michael's just not coming to school for a couple of days. What's going on there? So we'll try to work with you on that, but it has to be reasonable. The live program is very accelerated. It moves quickly. Every day can feel like several. So just be aware of that. What's the percentage of students that pass or fail the program? The graduation rate for the live program, it's approximately 85%. So the graduation rate is very high. What does an ideal applicant look like to the admissions team? I have been self-studying for a few months and have a portfolio, but have not finished yet. Good question, Joshua. Really what we are looking for that are students that are passionate and dedicated and generally have been doing what you've been doing, working on their fundamentals. I always use this analogy. It's kind of corny, but it works. Doing a program like ours, it's like running a marathon. If I'm not a runner and I'm thinking about running a marathon, I should go out and run a little bit first, right? And make sure I really enjoy running and that I'm dedicated and I'm up to the challenge. So by going and learning some basics, and I recommend everyone should do that. There's so many places you can learn basics for free in any of these subjects. On our website, there's many other organizations out there that I'm sure you're all aware of that teach fundamentals of coding or data science or what have you. Learn your fundamentals, submit an application that shows that you are passionate and that you really have a passion for what you want to pursue. That's really what we're looking for. You don't have to be an experienced computer scientist or have a long pedigree, but you do want to be passionate and dedicated. And one way to show that is to be working on your basics and learning before you even start with us. Based on the program materials, how prepared for a real job would you say the students are once they graduate from the boot camp? We have a great success helping our students land their first role, like I said, and start working in the industry. The program's very intense. And as much as it teaches you just enough really to get your foot in the door and start working where you're going to continue to grow and be mentored and learn on the job. But I think our success rate in helping our students land their first role shows how successful that the program really is in preparing students and having that robust portfolio, having the career coach. And I don't know if any of you have worked with a career coach, but having a great career coach to help you prepare to be ready to answer questions in the right way and have answers sort of at the ready in your bag of tricks is so important. So I think all of that really is a big part of the success there. Does the program follow up with any graduates that have not landed jobs after finishing the boot camp? Yeah, I mean, our career team will work with them as much as they can to really help them get their foot in the door and continue in their job search and continue to try to be successful. So that's something that we are constantly working on with our students. We also have graduates who will come back to us already into their careers, who decide they want a job search, and our career team will help them to sort of touch up their resume and prepare again for a new job search. Is part-time truly 40 weeks compared to the 60 weeks of full-time, or is it self-paced and can be done more quickly? For instance, 25 or 30 weeks. It can be. If you are able to put in more hours and sort of accelerate your progress through the program, you can do that. we've just seen that for most students, if they're doing the program while juggling a full-time job, that realistically, it's tough to do that, but it is possible that if you are able to put in more hours and accelerate your progress, that you could finish it more quickly. It does have a little bit of built-in flexibility with you. If you join a part-time program with going on a vacation, be allowed. For the part-time program, it would be. So the part-time program, because it has more flexibility, if you did need to miss some days and take a vacation, it would allow for that. And you would meet with your teacher and tell them what your plans are and when you're going. And again, they will treat that differently and make accommodation for you, which is different than like Michael's just disappeared for a week or two. So the part-time program does have some flexibility, both in when you schedule day by day and also in the overall schedule. So if you are thinking about, you may be traveling, whether it's vacation or business or what have you, it does allow for that, but in a much more flexible way. When you mention scholarships, what does it entail? Is a full or partial scholarship, and what's the criteria for consideration? Scholarships generally are partial. They're not going to cover the whole thing or cut it in half. We do have that on occasion, usually with sponsorship from a third party. Currently, that is not happening at the moment, but scholarships generally, they're generally somewhere in the $1,000 to $2,000 vicinity. And generally what we ask students to do is submit an application. We look at their words. It gives you a chance to sort of tell your story and share why you think you're deserving of a scholarship. So it's based partially on the scholarship application, where you have a chance to really tell your story and share your passion with us. Someone asked, if I start off part-time because I have a job commitment, but then the job goes away, can I speed up and finish in under 40 weeks? Yes, you can. So as I mentioned earlier, it does have that type of flexibility built into that. So if you are able to put more hours and accelerate your progress in the program, yeah, it's possible that you can do that. What are the dates classes are going to begin, soon or in the fall? Wonderful question. Typically, we have start dates for most of our program beginning every 3 weeks. So they come around fairly often. For some programs, some of the live programs, they may be a little bit more staggered and come around every 6 weeks or so. But it's not like they begin every 3 months or only in January or September. We usually have 1 or possibly 2 start dates every month on our website for each program webpage. There's a calendar of start dates on there now through the fall. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, you can go to the cybersecurity webpage, scroll down, and it will give you a full calendar of when all our part-time and full-time courses are beginning for the next several months, but generally every 3 weeks, some every 6 weeks. What is the staff to student ratio for the part-time program? The head teachers for the program are generally dealing with a group of around 60 students or so in the part-time program. If anyone here is local in Atlanta, would like to meet up and work on these skills together, yeah. So Elizabeth is asking if there's anyone in Atlanta, and can she share her email address here in the chat to link up with you guys? Go for it, Elizabeth. I think that's a great idea. Atlanta's a great city. Absolutely love Atlanta. What is the graduation rate for the part-time software engineering program? For the part-time engineering program, the graduation rate is typically where we got lost? Okay, the part-time graduation rate is generally between 50 and 60% in the program. Great. Someone else is asking about sharing their information. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. Great. All right, let's see. I think we have a few more questions. I think I've answered them all. Does anyone else have any additional questions I can answer for you guys? Yeah, feel free if you guys want to share your information with one another. I think that's wonderful. Great. I hope you guys found this helpful. I enjoyed doing it. What's next in terms of next steps? These are some links. If you want to schedule an introductory chat, it's a 10-minute phone call. You can go to the link provided here. It brings you right to admissions calendar, and you schedule a call at a time that works conveniently for you. and you'll get a call from us, and it's really just a chance to answer any and all questions you might have. So feel free to use that link if you want to schedule a 10-minute phone call with admissions. If you're ready to apply, it gives the link here to start an application. And again, the application is front and center on most of our web pages. We also have other live events that we host that are webinars. Some of them are live. We are doing an open house here in New York City at our campus next Tuesday. We do webinars that are sometimes educational and program specific. So we'll sometimes do webinars on like, coding in JavaScript basics, or the basics of product design. So follow the link here. That will give you a chance to attend an event. My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for attending. I hope you found this informative and helpful. And thank you so much for attending. We will be sending out the recording for this. So if you did attend, you'll have a chance to revisit it if you wish. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much, and have a good rest of your evening.